Howdy. Hi,
Hey Dan, how are you?
how are you? Just looking, looks great.
Awesome. It needs
Yeah,
some fine tuning because some
yeah,
have different names in GitHub and GitLab, so it's maybe show some duplications. But I was short on time, so you know.
okay, yeah, I see what you mean, but yeah,
Yeah, looks like you're in the office for the first time. I see.
yes. We have, they are incentivizing us to try and come in, so we have free drinks today, so, I'll come anywhere for drinks. Um, right, so let's see if we get Christine and the rest.
Alright. Oh, hello.
Hi,
Hey, Christine.
hi, Christine.
Hey.
I was just chatting with earlier today, and do you want to share that link that you shared with me? Made progress on auto-generating the index files, the markdown files, in the kind of format that we talked about last time.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, these are auto-generated?
yeah,
Oh, just like you to put it together.
this is really good, because then we can take these files and we can leave them out. I don't know if it's if the links are show me the code. Show me the code. All right, just taking a look at it. No, I don't want to fork. Just want to see the raw code. All right, hang on. Sorry, I guess what I'm saying is that the code, the markdown could just be taken over into the OpenSSF repo, and basically replace the readme.md in both the root directory of the SCM guide, and then the root directory of the GitHub and the GitLab directories. So that way, we have the basic format available, or with that links through to all the different best practices or principles, and then it's all the only thing that's left then, or the other thing that is left to do then, is to try and figure out how we incorporate the other material, the introductory material,
Right.
the operational stuff that we were working on, Christine, and
Yeah.
that's kind of that's still left to do. We could, it sounds like templating to me, which is a solved problem, but it's just a matter of which what do we want to do? How do we want to do that so that we can best auto-generate this out of the legitified data so that we're not doing a bunch of manual work every time we want to publish it, basically.
Right.
Is my thoughts.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question because I owe a PR, but now the question is what form will the PR look like based on this idea around templating?
Yeah,
We probably
I
want to
don't
talk
know.
mechanics of that.
I think you should probably do the PR.
Regardless, from your README or
Right now, no, because what I want to do is take the markdown that GNOME generated here and bring it over to the replace some of the material with this, basically.
okay.
And then right, then you could do a PR, but we might end up replacing it all anyway with if we end up doing something more templatey.
Okay, can we probably talk through the templating? I haven't done anything
So
with.
I was thinking one way that we could do it is just for you to take the material that you're going to contribute and push it into a separate markdown file in the same directory that is like, and then we can, at the very least, we can then do like a manual build process. We could use something, an already existing GitHub mechanism to do a kind of build process for the final document. Jonathan, Abhishek, we're just talking about how to do this in a way where we can generate fragments of markdown, pull them into this directory, and then do like a build process where we put them together with editorial markdown that will come from us / from Christine's document. And so that we end up with something in the readme.md file that is kind of a mix of auto-generated stuff that comes out of GNOME's process, which is going to look a lot like this.
I think that right now it should be simple because the auto-generated part is just in the middle. It's like contained.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So we just need to add like a prologue and epilogue. Maybe in the future, if we need to update the specific policy information, it might be more complicated, but I think we can solve it if it happens.
Is it just in the
leave it.
prologue at the end? I was just wondering if that's a true statement.
What?
That if the extra information would just be in the prologue and the end, or the beginning and the end. It may or it may not be. So is it better?
We did talk.
Yeah. Is it better to actually put the content in, even if it's just in a PR that won't be accepted, but just for the purposes of looking at it and seeing what the structure would look like?
Yes, I think that's best. Like I said, let me update the markdown that's in the folder right now with the markdown that GNOME provided, so that we can have at least, because right now what's in there is a bunch of links that are a bunch of things that don't actually link to things. But the markdown that GNOME provided has all the links stripped in. And so let me do that, and then you can do the PR on top of that, and we can take a look at what the result is and kind of review it together.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to have that by next week, I don't think.
No, I don't think.
Maybe if I can because I'm happy to do that work. The moving gnomes markdown files over into the repo. I can do that right now or today.
Okay. Okay.
Generate. And so we could end up with something that we can at least take a look at by next week, which is higher quality than what we have now. You could then flash up on screen if you're doing a presentation on
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
foundation.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. That sounds like a plan. Do we have other things? Did you, Christine, did you want to raise other points?
Oh, there was only one other thing, and I was looking for the actual blog post because GitHub had put in something where at the organization level, you could actually set up rules that you'd able to trickle down to each repo in the organization. And I was looking for the blog post, but the question I had for GNOME is how Legitify was going to incorporate that information. But before let me look for the link.
Right, they just announced it.
Yeah, it's in beta.
Yeah, so actually we did some research in our team in Legit, not Legitify. And because it's beta, it has some weird behaviors like in the UI. So we don't want at the moment to add these policies to Legitify because the behavior is not sure. You can have rules defined in the new method, and you can have also rules defined in your repository, different rules, and only the new branch rules are applied. So it's a little bit mixed, I think, at the moment. So we want to wait till it's more robust before we implement. Sorry for the noise.
Okay, yeah, and it's beta anyway, so
Yeah.
Okay.
But for sure we'll add these policies once they are ready.
Okay.
And by the way, we just added some a new namespace in Legitify called the Enterprise that has some new feature that applies to all the organizations that a company have.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that's a new namespace beyond repo and organization. You have a one called enterprise.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
In the branch I just created with the auto-generated one.
Yes.
So it's under server alongside the GitLab server policy.
I see.
But we can think about what's the right decision if you disagree with this one.
Okay, it's under server where it talks about two-factor authentication and enterprise should not allow. Am I looking at the right place?
Yeah, under server, all this enterprise should not allow member to create public repositories.
Yes.
So now applies to all the organizations.
Oh, okay, got it. I got it.
Just close my window 1 sec because of the noise.
The only other thing that I had, and I don't know if it probably doesn't fit into this discussion, maybe scorecards. Is scorecards, we were thinking we wanted to add scorecards into. Oh yeah, it does. So the only other discussion or question I had, and it doesn't fit into this discussion, is just when you have a lot of repos and are trying to run scorecards, there's all these API limits that can take place, but just some more information related to how to get past or to deal with those GitHub API limits. And I'm not sure, I don't think it applies to this discussion, but it was actually pretty tricky.
Yeah, so maybe we can take it offline. But
Yes.
if I have some methods like random rate limiting, caching, and etc.
Yes.
And for big organization, it might still hit the rate limit.
Yes. And it wasn't clear whether to kind of go through it with Legitify or address it with scorecard. So
Yeah, let's take it offline. I can
okay.
insist with that.
Okay, all right. And I will do some markdown editing right now. Okay, and I'll let people know on the Slack when I'm done with that. Okay. And I
Okay.
think then let's close off here unless anybody else has other points that they want to raise.
Okay. Sounds good.
I wanted to suggest maybe we can like create a long-term roadmap, so that we can follow. Maybe like what are the next big steps like for the following for the next month or two, so it will be easier to finish the project. Plan the project, yeah.
Yeah. Good idea.
In terms of what we want to do to kind of like round up the document and say it's done.
Yeah.
Or even just like what we think is coming up. But I guess we want to kind of get the guide done, right?
Can we focus on getting the proof of concept done, which I think we can do this week if we can get, a lot farther with it if we put our heads down right now. And then next call, we will focus on planned. And also hear the feedback that came from any presentations or discussions that happen next week about it.
Yeah. I guess on that front, it might be a good idea now to ask, is there any particular focus that you may want me to bring up in the presentation or that would help with feedback ahead of the plan?
I guess it'd be just nice to hear if people think this is helpful / useful.
Okay.
Validate our kind of assumptions.
Okay. Because I know one thing that I was probably going to try to see is if we had any people who use GitLab and try to, especially at the enterprise level, and try to get them to either participate or give more feedback. So at least that for me, that was one thing.
Definitely.
Just in terms of planning, I think we also agreed to have a shared blog post with the Scout team, right?
Yes.
With which team?
With the scorecard.
Oh, okay.
I think we also discussed potential kind of a development collaboration, right, around their dynamic kind of rules set, I guess, that they think
there
that
are remediation
we can
steps that they're talking
exactly
about being able to provide. And I guess once we have kind of these things sitting at, or the principles sitting at stable URLs, then we can maybe create a, they can create a prototype based on that, that sends users to those individual pages if we want to get more information about the AUF and stuff. That was, then I think then we once we establish that that's how we want to work together, then we move towards a blog post, basically. Yeah. So I think there are a few different steps there, and that is part of the roadmap. Different, it has to be definitely. Okay, I think we'll close off there, and for those going to Vancouver next week, I wish you well. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately, but I'll be trying to learn as much as I can to the OpenSSF day. At any rate.
Okay. Sounds good.
So,
All
We'll
right.
miss you.
Yeah, definitely.
all right, yeah, have lots of protein or whatever they have there. Okay, bye.
Yum.
Bye.